Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dom's Daily Sports. I'm your host, Dom, and before we get into this video, please do me a solid, go down below, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss those juicy videos that we come out with in the future. In today's video, I'm here today to recap all the games from this past weekend from the divisional round. We had some some good games, some surprising games, and some very predictable, kind of boring games. But nonetheless, let's get into these games and recap what happened this last weekend. So going into the first game, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings taking on the San Francisco 49ers. The final score was San Francisco 27, Vikings 10. Now, the first game of the week, with this game, it was very predictable. I think a lot of people came into this game thinking the 49ers are definitely going to win this game. The Vikings, they had a good last week, but the one thing I have to say that this game proved is it proved that last week, the reason why the Vikings won is because the Saints didn't show up. Of course, the Vikings defense looked good time and time, and the offense looked good. But it was just the Saints not showing up last week, and in this game, it definitely showed. 49ers defense was able to get after Kirk Cousins, basically pressure him all day, give him no time in the pocket, making it easier for the offense on the day with only them scoring 10 points. And then on offense, you just had a good running game. Basically, they were able to get the ball rolling. Tevin Coleman had a huge game with 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. 49ers, they have the three-headed monster. They have Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida, and Tevin Coleman. But in this game, it was very predictable. At the beginning, we thought that we might have a decent game with the Vikings opening up with that Stephon Diggs touchdown, but in the end, it resulted in what we all thought, which was the San Francisco 49ers taking this game. My X factor for the game has to be Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman had a really good game, basically helped the 49ers offense stay consistent and be able to move the ball with easy flow, not having to force Jimmy Garoppolo to make a lot of plays. He only threw 19 times and only completed 11 with 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So with the help from Tevin Coleman, he really didn't have a lot of weight on his shoulder this game. So moving into the next game, we're going to go talk about the most surprising game of the week. Wow. The Titans versus the Ravens. Final score was Tennessee 28, Baltimore 12. And yes, you heard that right. Tennessee took this game by a good margin, by 16. In this game, there was one man that did it all, and that was Derrick Henry. This man is just insane. 2-3 years ago, we were just talking about how he was a pretty good running back who was running behind DeMarco Murray, but he never showed his true potential. But after his blow-up game in Jacksonville, he just keeps getting better and better, and he's just been insane in the playoffs for Tennessee, basically carrying them with 195 yards on the ground, averaging 6.5 yards per carry, and he also threw a passing touchdown. The man can really do it all. So turning my attention to the Baltimore Ravens, this was just a stun. I don't think anybody saw Baltimore being eliminated first game in the playoffs. I think there's a lot of blame you have to put on several players in this game. You can't really put it on just one player. The first person you got to blame is Lamar. Lamar just did not have the consistency. He just didn't look like MVP Lamar like how he was in the 2019 season. He basically choked a little bit just like he did last year when he played the Chargers in the wild card. But he's still young. He's younger than Joe Burrow right now, who is playing in the national championship game, which is just insane to think about. Another person you can blame is definitely John Harbaugh. You have a guy like Lamar who has been doing an insane amount on the ground the whole season, but you have the man throw the ball 59 times. In my opinion, I think the reason why Baltimore lost this game is because they got desperate. They basically didn't go to their formula of running the ball downhill, managing the game, and basically putting up points. They got desperate and they started throwing a lot, and I think that was one of the main reasons why they lost. And the third reason is Baltimore's defense. The whole game, you saw Derrick Henry just punching him in the mouth over and over and over and over. Like, there was one play where he hit Earl Thomas so hard it looked like Earl Thomas was blocking for Derrick Henry. I mean, for crying out loud, someone put a helmet on him. Like, Baltimore, they did not come to play, and after this game, they don't deserve to play in the Super Bowl. It was just a pathetic performance, and kudos to the Titans, and I'm almost cheering for the Titans to make it to the Super Bowl just because it would be insane to see them go from a team that had Marcus Mariota as their starter, struggling every year, basically was looked at as the worst team in the division with the Texans, the Titans, the Jaguars, and the Colts. No one looked at them as a contender, and now they're about to play in the AFC Championship game next week, which is just insane. But anyways, let me not ramble. Let's move on to the next game. The next game we have Texans versus Chiefs in my opinion, the most exciting game this week. The results of this game were Kansas City 51, Texans 31. Now, in this game, there was a lot of action that happened. Basically, you had in the first quarter where the Texans scored 3 touchdowns and scored 21 unanswered points. Just bam, bam, bam. Like, in the beginning of the game, a whole bunch of people thought, wow, are the Chiefs really going to get upsetted? Is Patrick Mahomes definitely going to lose again 2 years in a row in the playoffs? Like, people were so stunned. But then out of nowhere, after the second quarter, the Chiefs put on one of the most insane things I've ever seen. It's got to be an NFL, like, first time in NFL history. And they scored 7 touchdowns in 7 straight possessions, which is just mind-boggling. Now, there's 2 things about this game to look at. One thing to look at is Patrick Mahomes. The man is insane. He's like Aaron Rodgers 2.0. The man had 321 yards and 5 touchdowns and also had 53 rushing yards. The man is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league if he isn't already. And he just proves day in and day out that if he needs to score, he's going to score. And another thing to look at, not looking at KC, is the Texans. They had 24 points in the second quarter. And you surrender that huge lead and allow the Chiefs to come blazing past and just score, what was it? Basically 41 unanswered points out of nowhere. Like, the Chiefs had the lead at halftime and they were down 24-0 in the first half, which is just a terrible play by the Houston Texans. I feel like a lot of this blame has to be put on Bill O'Brien. Over and over, this man just keeps getting away with not showing up. It seems like every year when people look at the Texans, they're never looked at as like a real threat in the playoffs. They're always looked at as that team that, oh yeah, they got a lot of good stars, and they got Hopkins, they got Watson, they got J.J. Watt. They have these good players, but they never can seem to get it done when they need it. Bill O'Brien's he's a January coach. He's going to get you into the playoffs. He's going to get you there. But when February comes, he's hitting his head on the ceiling. Unlike coaches like Doug Peterson, Sean McVay, Bill Belichick, where they bust through that roof. It just seems like Bill O'Brien cannot do it. Which, now looking at it, it might be time to move on from Bill O'Brien. I know they've had a lot of success of going to the playoffs, but you're just not cutting it, man. Like, you can't be making the playoffs this many times and not be a real threat to make the Super Bowl. I think the Texans need to make a decision this offseason, and I think they should get a new coach. So, moving on to the next game, and is the final game of the weekend, which was Seahawks versus Packers, and a nail-biter. In the beginning of the game, it looked like this game was going to be a blowout. Basically, the Packers were up 21-3. Seahawks just couldn't get it done. Like, Packers played good all around this game. They were able to run the ball pretty good. Aaron Rodgers was able to make the throws that he needed to make on third down to convert. They were able to move the ball. And the defense showed it up in the beginning and was able to hold the Seahawks and give the Packers that huge lead. But the Seahawks came blazing back, with Marshawn Lynch getting 2 touchdowns and Russell Wilson throwing for 1 touchdown and 277 yards. Now, the Packers, I think, definitely deserve this win. I mean, It came down to the wire. I know a lot of stories are coming out about, oh, he didn't get the first down, blah, 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 but a lot of stuff's happened. A lot of teams have gotten screwed before. Let's move on. So that is my take on the last 4 games of this last weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to tune in for next time. In the next video, we're going to be talking about the next UFC fight card where Conor McGregor and Donald Cerrone. My brother Robert Stearns will be covering that, so make sure you guys tune in. So if you guys can do me a favor, go down below, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. I love you all to death, and have a great day.